I know it looks like I assigned y'all a bunch of pages for this week, but they went pretty quickly, right? It's not like, Plato's Dialogues where there's 50 lines on each page, right? And you might not know what's going on. Well, you might not know what's going on in this book either. But this was a book written by Khalil Gibran, who was a Lebanese-American writer and poet and artist during kind of the early to mid 20th century. It was this book that kind of put him on the map. It became a New York Times bestseller. It was very popular, translated into a lot of different languages. And I think the reason for that is because when people read it, well, no matter what kind of background they come from, they can find something within it that they resonate with, something that speaks to them. And I'm hoping the same happens to you as you read it. I mean, the book covers a lot of different topics, such as love, children, work, death, time, all of these kinds of difficult topics. But these are the topics that philosophy tries to explore and ask questions about. And we're going to be doing the same thing this week. Now, the author, he was born in Lebanon, but he was schooled in many places around the world. He was schooled in Boston for a long time as a young child. Eventually, I believe he went to college in Beirut. And then he ended up coming back to the United States multiple times. And he even trained in Paris as an artist, which is pretty cool. The reason why he was able to do all of this, despite losing some family members, was that he was patronized. This woman, who I believe was a teacher at an all-girls school, Mary Haskell, ended up reading some of his writings and really liking what he was saying. So, as was often the case for hundreds of years, we don't really have this anymore today, but artists and poets would find a patron who would pay for, their lodging and take care of them while they did their art and worked on their literary stuff. And that's kind of what happened to Gibran as well. One commentator, Boucherie, said that his life was often said to be caught between Nietzschean rebellion, Blakean pantheism, and Sufi mysticism. Now, what does this mean? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Friedrich Nietzsche. Rock star in the history of philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche said a lot of, let's say, spicy things. And he tore down a lot of the philosophical traditions and theories that have been built up over the last few hundred years through the Enlightenment period. Well, one strand in Nietzsche's thought, if you ever read him, is that we shouldn't just merely accept what we're told or what's given to us. You might have some view about what's right and wrong, but have you really authentically chosen that view? Have you really thought about it for yourself? Well, Nietzsche basically argued in his works, one of the things that he argued, was that we should try to become authentic individuals ourselves. We should actually reflect on and think about these things. Not merely do what society wants us to do, but blaze our own trail. Increase our own power. And we can see that in this work as well. Gibran is saying a lot of things that are kind of mystical and they might sound a little woo-woo to you. But at the same time, he's, speaking back against problematic ideas that he sees in the culture. At the same time, this kind of analysis and argumentation is undergirded by what we might call a Blakean pantheism. We get this phrase from William Blake, but pantheism is the important bit. Does anybody know what pantheism is? Yeah, Fred? That there might be God or not? Oh, no problem. Yeah. Yeah?
Isn't it something with doing the mind, all mind, many minds?
All is right. There's an allness to this view.
I suppose it'd be kind of following or adhering to a lot of different religions and kind of believing aspects of them.
Okay, you're hitting on something important. Yeah, we would probably describe that as polytheism, this belief in many gods. But there is a pluralistic aspect to this. Pantheism is basically this view that you might contrast with the Abrahamic religions, which say that, God is some distinct person or consciousness that lives in a different realm. Rather, pantheists think something like, well, what God is something like all of this stuff. God is in you. You're a part of God. God makes up everything, equating God kind of with nature often. And so as you read through the text, kind of think about these strands of, becoming an authentic individual and rebelling against what you think is harmful or oppressive to your own, life. And this view that God is in all things and all things are a part of God. Because they definitely inform what Gibran is trying to get at here. So, with that little overview out of the way, let's just get into the text. I want to read it with y'all. I want to talk about it with y'all. See what you think. See what emotions come up for you, what thoughts come up for you. Does that sound good? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to need you to participate, though, because I can't be the one doing all the talking. So, as we read through this, we're going to stop a few different times. And, we're going to discuss things. We're going to see what you all think. Now, a little setup for this work. This book is about, what we might call a prophet or some sort of religious figure. We learn at the beginning of the story that it's time for this prophet to return home. He's been visiting this city for, we're not sure how long, but hanging out with the people and teaching them and helping them with their work. But it's time for him to go, and he's going to sail back to his homeland. And what happens? Well, the people realize this. The people have come to love him, form deep bonds with him, and they ask him to give them one last speech or sermon about things. That's basically what this entire book covers, is just him, giving his thoughts about these various different things, like love and work and joy, children, and so on. Now, I looked at your sheets, and a lot of you wrote down here love. You wanted to talk about or investigate love, which is great, because that is what is right at the beginning of this little sermon that he gives. So, could I get someone to read this page of the book? Yeah, Elijah, go for it.
Then said Amitra, "Speak to us of love." And he raised his head and looked upon the people. And there fell a stillness upon them. And with a great voice he said, "When love beckons to you, follow him. Though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold you, you yield to him. Though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you, and when he speaks to you, believe in him. Though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste the garden."
Perfect. Okay, so when you read something like this, what thoughts pop up for you? What do you think he's trying to say here? Yeah.
Love is messy
Love is messy. Why? Yeah.
because it's not easy to find love. It's difficult. That's why he says the path is steep. He's referring to it being difficult.
So it's difficult to find love. Do you guys think it's also difficult to love people? Why? Why do you think that? Yeah? Yeah.
Because you have to love every part of them, and no one's perfect, so you have to love their flaws too, and it can be difficult.
Why can it be difficult?
Because some people are difficult.
Some people are difficult, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, why is it difficult to love people? Yeah.
Because at some point you have to put your ego down and be able to communicate with the other person.
You have to put your ego down. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Love isn't something that we can
Okay, that you raise an interesting point here. Yeah, is love something that we can control? What do you think? I take it you mean something like you can't really choose or control who you fall in love with. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, but also like you can't choose like certain aspects of a person's personality and how you kind of come out of it all.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that's right. And there are things that, well, like y'all have been saying, everybody's different. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has flaws, right? Unsurprisingly, this leads to conflict. Do your desires always match up with those around you? No, oftentimes we want different things, right? Well, it might be true that we can't choose who we fall in love with. But would you equate being in love with someone as loving them? Is that what it means to love someone? Is that you're in love with them? No? Why not? How or why are they different? Yeah.
I think there's like different versions of loving someone. Like you can say that you love your family and your friends differently than like your partner.
Okay, yeah, speak more into that.
I think like being in love with someone is different than like loving them and like how much you put into them. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I kind of get what you're saying. I mean, it would be weird if I was in love with my mother, right? Don't you think that would be weird? Or if you were in love with your father? You don't want to be in love with your father, right? But you want to love your father, yeah? Or your sister, or your brother. So, I mean, what is love then? We've brought up at least two different kinds here, right? We've talked about being in love. What does it mean to be in love with someone? When you're in love, what do you feel? What do you do?
Have an attraction towards something?
Have an attraction towards them? Okay.
Could be emotionally, it could be physically.
Sure. Yeah. There's like a magnetism there or something. How is that different from loving your sibling or your parent?
I don't love my sibling.
You don't love your sibling?
It pisses me off.
One is sexual orientation, and the other one's like friendship, you know?
Okay. Yeah, we have what we might call, I don't know, sexual attraction. And then we have, you mentioned friendship. This can be a kind of love, right? Like you love your homies or something, or you love your gals. Is that different than like sibling love or love for your parents? Or is it the same kind of thing? Like the love you have for your guy friends?
Well, I think it can change over time,
Sure, okay.
depending on like what situations or how long have you known that person for. They kind of become a part of your family.
Okay, sure.
So you start seeing them more as family than just a friend.
So maybe something like, a kind of friendship-based love can transform gradually into something like a familial love.
But it also can turn into a romantic love.
Sure, I mean, isn't that how a lot of relationships start? You start off being friends with the person? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe you just have that, primal attraction. That's the first thing that appears for you. Yeah, okay, so there seem to be different kinds of love. We wouldn't say, or we wouldn't want to say, that we're in love with everybody that we love, right? So what does it mean to love? If you love your brother, for instance, like how would people know that you love them? What does loving your brother consist in? Care for them? Okay. Being there for them?
Loving them unconditionally.
There's an unconditional aspect to it. Like even despite their flaws and their mistakes, like you'll still, what, support them?
Yeah.
Is that what we want to say?
I mean, within reason, now, like, there's someone breaking the law and like getting down.
Sure, we might want to define, what exactly support means, right? For instance, you love your friend. Okay, you love your roommate. But lately your roommate she started to drink a lot. And she's not doing her homework. She's drinking like all the time. She starts drinking when she wakes up. She drinks throughout the day before class. She drinks when she gets home. And this is really starting to affect her life. What would loving her truly look like in that situation? Would it mean just talking with her and saying, I'm here for you if you want to talk? Would it mean perhaps taking the handle away? What would true love look like in this instance? Yeah.
You can still support them just because you don't support your actions doesn't mean you're not there supporting them emotionally and to get through the hard time. Like you're still supporting them no matter what. It's just you're not supporting their actions per se.
Okay.
So you're giving them like guidance, you're giving them the shoulder to kind of lean on type of thing.
Okay. But that doesn't mean you say, I support everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? But you still want to, care for them,
Yeah.
help them.
Like you still support them through hard times, but you just still support their actions.
But sometimes supporting someone is doing the hard thing that they can't do.
Y'all agree with that?
Loving them, even if what you do makes them not love you back.
Like what?
Like taking away the drinks and all of that, and then they might like hate you or whatever for it, but you're doing it for them and what's best for them.
Right. Okay. So we've hit on something I think that's important. If loving means in some sense supporting other people, does that mean something like doing what's best for them? Or no? Is there something else going on here? Yeah.
I feel like it's also being able to hold, not only them, but also yourself accountable, to certain situations. Like the drinking situation, you have to be able to hold them accountable for it. Instead of you being like, oh, I still support you, so I feel like, be able to talk to them and be able to tell them, hey, you're doing this wrong, you need to do better. I'm going to help you through it, even no matter what you need, I'm going to be here for you to do that.
Even if it's hard and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we might think, what it means to love someone is to, care for them and look out for their best interests. Sometimes that means saying the hard thing that's uncomfortable. Sometimes it means holding them accountable for not holding themselves accountable.
Sometimes it's letting them go.
Letting them go.
Sometimes you have to let a friendship end or a relationship end because it's harming you.
And why is it bad that it's harming you? Are you saying something like, if you were to persist in this friendship, you wouldn't be loving yourself properly?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be, I had a friendship where it became very apparent where this person didn't really care about me. It was more me needing to help him through his life. The thing is, I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't be his therapist, and so I let the friendship go because it was hurting me in the long run. I couldn't, and I've struggled with mental health, so how am I helping you when I struggle?
Have you all had this experience? Known someone, you've been a friend with someone who the friendship has gotten tough because maybe they're over-reliant on you or they're not treating you properly and you've just kind of been taking it. You've, been trying to help them, but things aren't changing.
I feel like especially for the situation, you're living with that person, so it's going to affect you eventually because one, you can't really do that in a dorm, right? If you can get caught, that's not just going to be them getting caught, you're in it too, you're kind of stuck in that situation with them. And it's going to start affecting you in the long run because maybe they're not having the same sleep schedule as you or different things, and it's going to, you're sharing a tiny space with them, so eventually it's not just their problem, but you're going to have to help them through it, which might affect you emotionally as well, not just them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're sharing a living space with them, right? I mean, like what they do is going to have an impact on you as well, right? Yeah. Okay, so maybe there are different kinds of love then. And we give different kinds of love to people depending on, well, how we are relating to them. Whether we are related by blood to them, whether we're not, whether they're our mom or dad or brother or sister. Okay, good. And what does he say here? When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. What do you draw from those passages?
Love is going to hurt, and it's going to be hard at times, but in the end, it's going to be worth it.
It's going to be worth it. So we should keep doing it even if it's hard. We should keep loving people.
I believe that what he's saying is that there will be pain, and it's not going to be easy, but that the journey is like worth.
Okay. So love is not always easy. In fact, it may be uncomfortable. It may be difficult. It may hurt you. You may come to regret who you love or who you fall in love with, maybe. But what? Does that mean we stop loving?
I think he's also saying in a way like, just because something hurts you doesn't mean you should regret it in a way. Like, just because it hurt you and it probably wasn't a good thing, it's still, you have like the joy of loving someone.
Ah, okay, so there's a joy. There's a goodness to loving someone, even if it blows back at you, maybe. Yeah.
I feel like in the top he's saying, like, when love finds you, if you're not susceptible, like, change love, like, it changes you.
It changes you.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes that change isn't always good. Maybe you fall in love with someone and it leads you down a path that, you end up developing some bad habits. Or you end up doing some things you wouldn't otherwise do. And yet, for all the sorrow, all the pain that might come with love, how should we see it?
I think that in that case where it's like hurting you, you still like can learn a lot about yourself, and maybe like if you have like a bad relationship with someone, you can be like, know not what to look for in your next partner.
Sure.
It like teaches you, so it's still like worth it in the end.
I wasn't there for this conversation myself, but when my dad was much younger, he had just broken up with this girl that he really liked. And he'd made his mistakes. We all make our mistakes in our relationships, right? Things we should have done better. And my aunt, his sister, came to him and said, Johnny, every time you're in a relationship with someone, you learn to love a little better. I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying, right? We learn as a result of loving. We don't always have good and happy experiences, but perhaps it can change us positively, right? It can make us wiser. It can make us more compassionate. It's important that we talk about love because that is going to, inform everything else that's going on in this book. As we'll see, whatever Gibran thinks love is, he thinks it's something that, is not only important for human beings and meaningful, but it's something like a metaphysical force. It sustains reality, or it makes things possible. It leads to transformation. It's something deeper than just, he thinks, what we might call biochemical reactions in our brains. Despite how difficult it is, we should still love, whatever that means. Though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste the garden, you should still believe in love. Okay. Could I get someone to continue reading? Yeah.
Or even as love
even as he ascends to your high hand. Rest of your tenderness branches that quiver in the sun. So shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth.
Good, you can stop there. Yeah, this gets to the point we were just talking about, right? There's something about love that, well, it can bring happiness, it can bring joy, but it can also bring sorrow, it can bring disappointment. But yet, it does something like, I don't know, it infuses and changes every part of us in some way. If I could spell. Doesn't just lead to changes in thought, but perhaps changes in behavior, in outlook, in desire. So shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. What do you think he's saying there? Descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth.
That it will change like your prior belief on like certain beliefs or certain views that you have.
It could change your beliefs and views.
Be open to changing the foundation of your life.
Ah, so it can have a really impactful, right, influence on you.
Earlier when you said that like you get better at loving every time that you do it again, I feel like what he's saying is it's like by changing your roots and shaking them that you're even growing.
Right. Yeah, hopefully, if we're doing it right, it leads to growth. And how does it lead to growth? Well, what kind of image is right here? Shake them in their clinging to the earth. Love is destabilizing, right? And you know this if you've ever fallen in love with someone. Suddenly your entire world becomes warped around that person. You're always thinking about them. You're wanting to, well, help them. You want to bring them happiness. What you do, you end up perceiving through the lens of, oh, how is this going to impact them? How is this going to help me get closer to them? How is this going to help them? Right? It's a destabilizing force. It doesn't allow you to stay stuck in your views or your behaviors or your mood. It's rupturous. Okay, continuing on. Could I get someone to just read the rest of this page here? Go for it.
Like seeds of corn, he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked. He sifts you to free you from your husks. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you are pliant, and then he signs you to the sacred fire, that you may become sacred red for God's spiritues.
All right, what the hell does that mean? What do you think? What's going on here? He gathers you unto himself, threshes you to make you naked, sifts you to free you from your husks, grinds you to whiteness. Does that sound positive? Want somebody to grind you until you're, tiny little bits?
I guess it's kind of saying that, like, love takes all the energy out of you and all, just like so much effort and so much about you, it kind of like takes it.
Okay. Yeah?
I think it says that it makes you vulnerable. So loving is making yourself open to what you hide to the world. So what your fears are, things like that just make you vulnerable and like shake you to your core.
Yeah, I mean, what do we get in that third line? Makes you naked, right? Yeah, what do y'all think that means? Grinds you to whiteness. Yeah?
I don't really think that, I think it's more just part of the analogy of it being like bread, like flour. I don't think there's any particular thing about it.
It's more imagistic than it is propositional, maybe. Yeah, that could be what's going on, right? Obviously, there's something like a harvesting and then processing that resource, right, that's been harvested. That's kind of the image that he's drawing upon here, that he's constructing. I'm going to make up a word. Love is vulnerable arising. Because it makes us vulnerable, right? Perhaps the things that we didn't want to notice about ourselves, it lays them bare for all to see. Our wishes, our insecurities. These things become known to you, so much so that you don't want to look, right? You wish you weren't vulnerable in this way. You wish you weren't so open to being hurt. But what do our experiences of love and what do our loving do for us? What's going on here? What do you think he's saying with these last 3 lines?
It changes us, or
Makes us the best version of what we can be. Okay. Yeah, what else? What do you think? What is all this talk about, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast? What?
I think it's saying, like, you don't know love's true intentions, so you really gotta, like, open up to it and, like, discover what it really could affect on your life.
Okay. So, in our lovings and in our relationships that are filled with love, there's something that's happening to us, right? Are these changes random? Are they arbitrary?
I see it as he's saying that love molds you and it makes you a new person.
It molds you and makes you a new person.
So like for becoming sacred bread, it's like it starts you off as corn. It starts you off as like an individual, and in the end you become a whole.
Okay. So it makes you whole, perhaps.
I think when you said, like, he was saying just like the fire, it's like first you have to go through the fire for you to become your new self, right? You have to go through the hardships of love for you to be able to know the good things of love and what you can learn from it.
Okay, so there is going to be something necessarily difficult and painful about this process. Well, I think y'all are circling around something important. What is the purpose of love? What does love do for us? Well, it's obvious that Gibran he's raising some mystical views and implications here, right? Again, he would say love is not just this biochemical thing in your brain. Rather, what love does to you is that it transforms you so that what? Well, you can play the role you were destined to play in this universe, something like that. The transformative love that is enacted against you and that you enact. He seems to be saying it does something like it makes you ready, it prepares you for, well, the kind of role you were fated to have by this God or higher power. Something like this. What do y'all think about that? There are a lot of assumptions baked into this, right? First, Gibran says there's something like a God or higher power who has a hand in things. That's determining how things go. That's looking out for you. Okay, there's that. There's that love is transformative. I think probably a lot of you would agree with that. But then there's something like, look, this higher power has something like a plan, something like a role in mind for you. And that love functions to, well, prepare you for that, for you to do that, for you to act that out. Your fated or destined role. What do you think about this? Is this crazy? Is this just mystical woo-woo garbage? Or is it romantic, and do you like it? Bare your soul, it's okay. Nobody's going to laugh at you.
Is he saying that like it's a role on earth or is it a role in the heavens?
What do you think?
Because I think on earth we don't have to stick to one role.
Okay.
I mean, people change jobs all the time. People
Sure.
change careers.
Yeah.
To say that you're destined for a role, I don't think you necessarily are.
Okay.
Maybe some people feel like that, but most people, they're always changing. They're always growing. So your destination's always changing.
Well, so let me ask y'all. Do you believe that you have something like a destiny? Or no? Some way that you were supposed to live? Something you are supposed to do? For you specifically? Or not?
Your destiny role isn't just your occupation, it's who you are. So maybe you're born to be a leader or just like a guy who's there to uplift other people, or maybe you're born to be a husband or a wife.
So you might believe in something like this. Maybe we're created and molded for a purpose.
But I feel like we're always changing.
Sure.
As humans. So to say that like you're meant to be this one person, I don't necessarily think that's true. I think humans are very fluent in who they are.
If instead of thinking about it as you're going to become this one person that you become stuck in, what if we imagine role as like, well, there are actions that you are destined and supposed to fulfill. There are things you are supposed to do. Does that change your view a little bit, or how are you thinking about it?
I think some people have like very specific things they have to see through.
Okay.
Goals that they're gonna do, like no matter what.
That are destined?
Whether I think it's just like, I don't know if that's the word you use, but I just think it's, yeah, people have things that they know they have to do. So I guess that's, I don't know if that's destiny, but I think it's like more, that's their purpose.
Okay, so you might think, yeah, people are created for a purpose, to carry something out.
Yes.
Maybe you might think they don't have to do that. They're not forced to do that. They can reject that.
It's just their like way, like they're gonna do it,
Okay. Yeah, Emma.
I feel like when you're talking about like love and like your destined goal, you kind of have to like think about like the future and stuff like that.
Yeah?
So it's also like maybe you want to be a husband, maybe you want to be a wife, maybe you want to be a mom, like maybe you want to have kids, like maybe you want something more. And so you have to like love will teach you how to love someone more than you love yourself.
Okay.
So it helps you reach not like a role as in like what I want to be when I grow up, like that doesn't affect me being a warrior, but it affects me being like a good person to support my family.
Okay. So do you think then that, like, look, there is a higher power, and like this higher power has laid out a particular path for each one of us in mind, and we all have kind of our own path that we're supposed to walk? How many of you all agree with that? Were you created for a purpose? Are you here to do something that only you can do? What do you think?
I'd say it's pretty scary if you weren't created for a purpose, because what's the point in life if you don't have purpose? You're just mindlessly going around. And like your purpose, like destined purpose, doesn't mean you're set for one specific thing. Your purpose can change.
Okay.
In your situation.
Okay.
You should always have a purpose in life.
Do you think we have a destined purpose? Something that God, say, has determined for each one of us?
I'd say so, but I would also say that it's probably going to take time to find your destined purpose.
I mean, I've been in school a long time. I've often thought, what the hell am I doing here? Right? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? I certainly want to believe in something like, yeah, I have a role, I have something I'm supposed to achieve. Maybe some of y'all want to believe in that too. Maybe some of y'all just aren't convinced, you can't. I don't know.
I feel like we aren't born with a specific purpose, and I forget which one we were going over. It's like when you're born, you don't have anything, like any mind or anything.
The tabula rasa view from Locke? Yeah.
That I feel like we aren't born with a purpose, but we could be born with certain strengths and certain things from just like our genetics, and that those strengths can like be used to do many different things in life.
Okay.
To create many different like helping things for even like our family and stuff.
So we don't have like an objective purpose that was placed on us. But like we can use our capacities to do things and fulfill goals and help people and stuff. Okay. Yeah.
I think that like on purpose, I think some people also give it like gifts. Like kind of like you can speak, you're able to like speak out in a stadium full of people, or you can do music, or you can do different things. So like going along with just, because some people are naturally so good at some things. Like it's like a gift. Like it's so good. Like you were born being able to sing beautifully, while some people have to learn how to do it. And I feel like it goes along with, yes, you have like your rules, you have your skills, and I feel like everyone does have their own thing. You just have to find what it is.
Okay.
Because I can feel like your gift is teaching. Like you have to, I hope that you like what you do, right? And
I love what I do, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this could be your gift in life, or maybe this is something that's going to lead to you finding your gift later.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, y'all might have different views about this. I mean, obviously, the kind of thing he's saying here, right? It's going to depend, whether you find it convincing, it's going to depend on whether or not you believe in God, and then whether or not you think this God or higher power has designed for you something that is, well, a purpose that plays a part in this divine plan that's larger than you. Like you're this important piece in this large puzzle. That's kind of the image that's being summoned here. Maybe you find this to be, I don't know, a silly view or a what? An idealized or romantic view? Certainly a lot of people feel like that. Okay. And let's just continue this off. I will read. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. But if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world where you shall laugh, but not all of your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Love gives not but itself, and takes not but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather, I am in the heart of God. And think not you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires. To melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night. To know the pain of too much tenderness. To be wounded by your own understanding of love. And to bleed willingly and joyfully. To wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. To rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy. To return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips. So what is he saying here? Well, something like, look, this is not the easy path. This is not the comfortable path. But loving, he seems to be arguing, is something like the key to everything else. If you don't live lovingly and if you don't have love, you're not truly living. What do you think about that? Yay or nay? I see some yays. Is love really that important, though? Really? Well, I'll let you think about that. Let's move on to the next one here. Because some of you also wrote down marriage. Okay, could I get someone to read this page? Speak to us of marriage, dear reader. Go for it.
Then Amicha spoke again and said, And what of marriage, Master? And he answered, saying, You were born together, and together you shall be forever. shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your gates. 8, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls.
Good, let's stop there. What do you think he's saying here? He's talking about marriage.
There needs to be like a separation between the two people who are married. Like you can't just be like one person. It should be like both of you guys are building off of each other to create two separate things of growth. But if it's one, it's not going to work.
If it's one, it's not going to work.
Like if you're
what do you mean by that?
If you're forcing the other person to change constantly, but you're not changing yourself, it's never going to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there needs to be boundaries, so like, you can be close, but only to a certain extent, and he's also expressing how long they'll be together.
What are y'all echoing here? Well, it's something like you shouldn't dissolve yourself into the other person. Let me ask you, do you think it would be a good relationship if you fall in love with someone and suddenly everything you thought and did was all about that person? You were always with them, you never left them, you always wanted to hang out, never wanted them to go anywhere without you. You're trying to do everything you can to please them all the time. Yay or nay? Why? Why is that nay?
Because that's toxic.
It's toxic. Explain more. Why is it toxic?
Because you're an individual and you shouldn't diminish who you are solely because someone else is telling you to do so.
Okay. Because that leads to what? Pain and suffering and.
Right. And then also he's also mentioning that couples should support each other without losing their individuality.
Ah.
That they both require closeness, but space when needed.
Right. Maybe you've had an experience like this. I'm not embarrassed to say that I have. You fall in love with someone, or you want someone to love you. And what do? Well, you warp your entire life around them. Before you know it, you're always with them. You're always thinking about them. You give up what you want to do so that you can please them. Gibran is saying this kind of loss of individuality is not good. You shouldn't become, codependent on your partner. That's going to lead to pain and suffering. And what else? Well, if you become codependent on your partner, are you ever going to learn and grow? Why not?
Because you're not being challenged.
You're not being challenged. You're not coming up, let's say, against any obstacles that you yourself have to overcome. Right? You can always shove the work off on somebody else. And if you're someone who really loves your partner, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, what's going to happen to them in the long run if every time they have a problem, you rush in and solve it for them?
They can't solve it themselves.
Say that again?
They can't solve it themselves.
Yeah. They won't develop the ability, right? Or perhaps the strength, the resilience to solve things themselves. We might think that kind of, rushing in and always helping is, serving them. But you should ask, in the long run, is this actually serving them? Is this actually helping them blossom into the fullness of what they can become and who they are? Yeah, I think this is kind of what he's saying here. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. That is something that completely unites, something that completely, rigidly connects. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. What pops up for you when you hear those words? What do you think he's saying? Yeah.
Like the last sentence, he said the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. So one person's not more important or like bigger than the other person. They're both together. They're both true, but they're just out there by themselves.
Okay. Yeah, there's something like a uniqueness to each individual person, a value, a meaning to each individual subjectivity.
And love requires like respect, whether it's respect for the other person or self-respect. And so
Self-respect, okay.
when you're standing together yet separate like the pillars, you're saying that you're willing to make something work and you're willing to work together, but you still need to make sure that you're still you.
That make sure that you're still you. Okay. Yeah. It's good to work together. It's good to support each other. But again, as Nietzsche would say, for instance, you shouldn't seek to become the kind of person that removes any and all challenges and obstacles from the lives of those you love, because this is not going to help them become stronger or wiser. It's going to keep them, Nietzsche might say, weak and dependent, unable to cultivate their own strength. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. But then there's also this bit, right, about give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. I think what he's saying here is something like, look, there's only so much you can give to another person, right? Before you break yourself. If you're a people pleaser like I am, you know what that feels like. Running on empty as you're trying to solve everybody else's problems. Learning and growing in some sense, becoming stronger and wiser, is something that we can only do for ourselves in some fundamental way. So we need to respect that. And we need to honor that in other people as well, perhaps. We'll say individuation, becoming the person that they can be. And, luckily, a lot of you said children as well. So we're going to read this one. But let's take a break. I'll give you all 10 minutes. Come back at 1:10. And then we'll talk about this stuff some more.
Said, speak to us of children. And he said, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give give them your love, but not your thoughts. First, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you.
All right, what do y'all think? What's going on here?
You can kind of like give them guidance, but you can't like tell them like what to do, or they have like their own goals to it independent of themselves.
Okay. You can guide children, but they are their own, what, people? Individuals? What does he say? You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. Y'all agree with that? Those last two lines? Emma.
I think so, because like my friends have always tried to teach me to not be like them and make the same mistakes that they do. Like
So,
the bad things, they're trying to teach me to not do the bad things that they already found out.
so in some way, they're like, yeah, don't be like me, right?
Because they want to make you better than they are.
Okay. Don't all parents try to make their children like them in some way, though?
Oh, yes.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's awful.
It's bad. Why is it bad? Why is it bad?
Because it causes tensions.
It causes tensions.
Because my mom is always trying to make me do what she wants, make me and her. And the thing is, I'm not. I'm an individual, and I always fight against that.
And so it causes you to clash?
Right. Yes.
And she gets upset at you
Yes.
because you don't do what she tells you to do?
Yes.
Yeah? Anybody else have this experience? Your parents tell you time and time again to do something or be a certain way, and you're like, fuck you, Mom and Dad. I'm going to do what I want to do. How does that normally end up working out for you? Okay?
Better with my dad than my mom.
Okay, your dad's maybe more, I don't know.
He's more
Let her do what she wants to do, yeah?
Yeah.
I would counter against that. I love my parents.
Okay. Go for it. Play.
I think that like when you're a parent, it's like biking. You give them the training wheels, and at first you may push them, and like if you take the training wheels off, you may help them stay up a little bit, and you might show them the roads that are safer to drive on and not. But at a certain point, as a parent, you want your son or daughter to be better than you. And so I think that you shouldn't sit there and say, hey, I'm like this, be nothing like me. Go be your own person, but you should be like, hey, this is what I really found in life that I enjoy. This is what I feel like I've really messed up on.
Okay.
So this is what you shouldn't do, but you should also find what you enjoy.
Okay, so you would say like, look, it's good that parents like give advice, right? That they maybe communicate with their children, right? What else? Try to teach them? You think that's good? Teach them maybe what's right and wrong when they're going to do something really dumb.
I feel like letting them make their own mistakes is also good, so they can learn from those mistakes in a first-hand point of view.
Okay. So maybe we shouldn't always, seek to rescue children from every challenge and obstacle.
Yeah.
Or restrain them from making a decision.
Yeah.
Maybe you would think it's more nuanced than that, but yeah.
My mom was like, when she sent me to college, she was like, here's what I did in college. Like, she told me all these things. She was like, I almost failed. I almost didn't graduate, like all this stuff. But she's still saying to me, even though like she doesn't want me to do all these bad things, but she knows that if it happens, it happens, and I deal with the consequences. So she guides me and she tries to steer me in a correct direction. And if I go like off that direction, she knows that like
what to do to help me, but then she also knows that I'm an adult and that I need to fix it myself.
So she respects kind of your agency. Fred? Okay.
Because if children don't like it, they can just leave the house.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is their house. So what they say is the law. So it's their own property. So if you don't like it, you can leave.
Okay. And maybe y'all would say, like, look, we are kind of speaking in generalities here, but you would treat, say, a 5-year-old different than like a 16-year-old.
Different.
How would you treat them differently?
Different stages of growth in their life.
Mm-hmm.
As a 5-year-old, you're trying to understand like what is like different things around you. Like, you know, you don't know the basic things in life, but once you're 16, you're trying to learn like who are you and yourself as a person. Which I feel like parents can help in a lot because your parents have understand you very like the most like the best most of the time for a family.
Okay.
So you are like a piece of them in a way, like you're kind of built in a like from them, so you like share same connections, so they can help you find who you are.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, parents can play a huge and important role, right, in determining the life of their children, right? Level of guidance changes. Maybe the control you exert over them changes as they learn and develop themselves.
Well, it should, but sometimes that is not always the case.
Sure. But if you have a 5-year-old, right, your 5-year-old little girl, she doesn't know what cars are really. Okay, she doesn't know what trucks are, what roads are. Are you going to tell her merely, don't walk into the road? Or are you going to tell her that, and then if she tries to walk into the road, you're going to yank her back so she doesn't walk into the road? Would you do that for your teenager?
No, because a teenager should have that awareness of what a road is and how to
Let's think of a different example here. Your teenage son, okay, he wants to go to this high school party. It's the final party of the semester, right? You know who's going to be at that party because you remember their parents from when you went to high school with them. You're thinking, man, there's going to be drugs at this party. There's going to be alcohol. Who knows what those high schoolers are going to get up to in the bedrooms upstairs? Do you restrain your teenage high school son, tie him to a chair so he can't go?
I think it matters your perception on the kid.
Okay.
And also, times change.
Okay.
People change. And children aren't always like their parents. I mean, my mom was a partier. Like, she always partied. But, like, me? No. I've always stayed home. And she's like, go out. And I'm like, nope.
Screw you, Mom.
Yeah, no. So, like, the way, like, a child, like, because you said you might know the parents from when you went to high school with them. You're just assuming that their child is the same way. So, like, the parent is that way. And that's not necessarily always the case.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think parents should restrain their kids too much because I feel like a lot of times like really strict parents just raise like sneaky kids and they're gonna find a way to get whatever they want.
Okay.
It's like better to like teach them like don't drink and drive. Like if you're gonna drink, like call me, I'll pick you up. Like it's better to keep them safe and let them like learn in like a respectful way. Because if you just like fully restrain them, you're gonna probably not make the best choices.
They might rebel.
Yeah.
They're going to figure out how to do what they want to do anyway and do it behind your back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Adding on to that, since I'm basically like patient zero for that, since I lived in like a very strict household, and I remember in 9th grade when my parents switched my phone to a flip phone, because I grew up like very strict and like very like tight boundaries of what I can and can't do, I was able to like find loopholes around it and just other things. So I feel like in terms of like being able to like be strict level of strictness that needs to be had with a child, but there's a point where it's going overboard.
Sure.
On like the age or like how the child behaves.
Yeah, and maybe you would say the strictness should change depending on, how much they've learned and grown, how mature they are, right? If you develop a great relationship with your, teenage daughter or something, and you form something like a bond of trust, you might be able to allow her to have a lot more agency, right? Than, your son who's been getting into trouble all the time and just wants to, I don't know, raise the middle finger to you or something.
Yeah, I think you have to trust your children.
Okay, trust them. Why?
Because obviously you're going to make mistakes, but you have to be there for them and support them and not always give them the answer. With the marriage example, you can't always rush to help them. You have to let them figure things out. And if you trust them, they'll learn to trust you back and also rely on you if they need it.
Okay.
Running away.
Okay. And oftentimes, what happens? Well, parents who are overly strict and distrusting, that does breed a lot of tension and conflict in relationships, right? And so what does he say? Well, he says, you can give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. I interpreted it in a different way, the way I wrote it. What I mean here is you can communicate your ideas to them, but children have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow. Well, the implication here is look, you shouldn't try to make your kids into miniature versions of you. And why not? Why shouldn't you make your child, or try to make your child, exactly the same as you? In every way. Yeah?
The world's changed. You can't just do the same thing all over again and need for innovation.
The world has changed. Are y'all dealing with all of the same challenges that your parents had to deal with? Somewhat? You want to speak into that? Yeah.
I think that it's not the same challenges, but they have gone through similar experiences that you can lean on them for advice still.
Sure.
Like what they say is you forget that your parents were once teenagers too, and I feel like back then they probably didn't have a phone to track you or communicate with you and stuff, but you can still lean on them for advice.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't be inappropriate to say, I don't think, that what Gibran is trying to get at is something like this. Look, your children are individuals themselves. They have their own personalities. They have their own goals and dreams. They have their own desires. They have different capacities, right? And you know this if your parent, for example, was a huge athletic star or something, and you just don't have the same skills, right? Or desire to be amazing at basketball, say, like your father was. Children, they're their own people, and the world has changed. So, you shouldn't try to make them, Gibran says, into miniature versions of you, because, look, the world they live in and will live in is different. I'm reminded of this whenever I have to help my mom out with some piece of technology. She doesn't remember exactly how to get into her email, right? So I have to walk her through it. Or when something happens with, the Netflix account, right? I got to log her back in or something, right? Insofar as children are living in a different world, if you try to make them to be exactly the same as you, are they going to flourish? It's going to stunt them. Elijah?
I think it's also going to mess you up because at the end it says you may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. So if you're just conforming them into a carbon copy of yourself, you're not able to learn from them or how their world works.
Sure. So it prevents your own learning and growth, right? Yeah, sure. As we're going to see with a lot of other ideas in this text, it's clear that Gibran thinks that proper parenting requires something like a balancing act between, supporting and disciplining and imparting what you know, but also respecting, to a certain degree, their agency, their desires, their goals. Obviously, this is much easier said than done, right? You want to prepare them for what they're going to have to deal with when they get older, but you also don't want to, completely control them, right? Doesn't seem like it would work out well. And so he says, "For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable." Any thoughts about this? What do you think Gibran is saying here? Yeah.
You prepare your children enough to where they can be on their own, you send them into the future so they can live without you kind of thing.
Right.
You can only do that if you are stable yourself. So I don't know if that's what you mean, but kind of the way I see it is if you aren't ready to be that stable thing for your kid to lean on, then you probably shouldn't be a parent yet.
What do y'all think? You agree with that? You think everybody's cut out to be parent? No. That was a strong no. Have y'all had personal experiences maybe with this? It doesn't seem like everybody is ready to be a parent when they have kids. I mean, the cliche thing is, you're never ready, but obviously you can be more or less ready, right?
As a parent of your children, you're also a role model to them. So not only what you're helping them and if you're trying to guide them on what they should be in life, but they're also looking at you and basing off of you of what is right and wrong.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, children absorb a lot, right? They're always watching. They're always listening, which is why you have to be careful about what you do and say around your children, because otherwise you'll end up like my niece, and at 4 years old, she's walking around saying, shit, Oh. Because sometimes you let things slip, right?
I guess it's if you're not in a happy marriage yourself, and let's say you're arguing with your wife or husband a lot, then your child might think that's a normal thing in your world.
Sure.
That's what it is to be married or something. So just having and focusing on yourself, not fully, obviously focus on your children too, but making sure you're correct is a big step to helping your children grow.
Right. I mean, you raise a great point, which is our actions don't occur in a vacuum. Everything we do, no matter how small, is going to have some sort of ripple effect on the environment that we're in. But all too often, people don't think hard about the consequences of their actions or how other people might see their actions and what that might incite in them. And that is incredibly important for parenthood, especially because, again, children, what they see you doing and saying, they're going to mimic you for a while if they're at that age, right? Okay, good. Let's move on to the next one, giving. This also is going to form a central part of, well, the worldview that Gibran is laying out in this book. So could I get someone to read this about giving? Go for it.
Then said a rich man, speak to us of giving. And he answered, you give a little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard, for fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to the over-prudent dog, burying bones in the trackless sand, as he follows and the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need but need itself? It's not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable. Those are things, there are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes the gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little and give it all. These are believers in life, and the bounty of life in their coffer is never empty. There are those who give it with joy, and their joy is rewarded. And there are those who give it with pain, and pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not pain is giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give the mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley, the myrtle breaths its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these gods speak, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth.
Okay, good. Okay, so what is he saying here? He's making a lot of claims about giving. What are the proper things to give? How should we give? What should we think about when we're giving? Elijah.
I think what he's saying is giving like unselfishly. There's a parable in the Bible I grew up on where there's a king with 50 sheep and then a shepherd with one, and the king with 50 he had to make a feast, and so instead of taking one of his 50, he took the shepherd's one. And it was basically the shepherd was like, he was sad to give it up, but he was willing to give it up because he knew he was giving it for a good purpose. And then the man that was slaughtered was the man with the 50 sheep because he was selfish in his actions.
And he had the opportunity, right, and the means to give what he had, but he didn't, right?
I think what it's saying is, when it says you give but little when you give up your possessions, that's the wrong line. I meant a different one. But where it says you may fear that you may need them tomorrow, I feel like it's a way of saying to not be selfish, and that what matters not is like your current possessions, but what you're doing with them.
Okay, good. Yeah, what do the rest of y'all think? When somebody gives something to you, like what is the best gift? Is it when someone gives you money?
That is pretty nice.
It can be nice, right? Especially if you need it and they know that you need it, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, I'll give you $1,000, you know. Yeah.
I feel like the best gifts are the ones that are like wholesome and like something between, like something that has a lot of thought in it. Like it's not really about like the price point. It's like remember this, and like, or something that like you said a long time ago and you thought it now, or like something that they remembered, or something that's like between you two that's important.
Right. Yeah. You're dating someone. Well, it's going to be your 1 month anniversary. Would you rather get $50? Or would you rather get something that, well, is symbolic of the first conversation you had on the first date?
Symbolic.
$50? Maybe you can do more with the $50.
Because I mean, like the month anniversary, 1 month, like that's too soon.
Switch it to a year.
It's it's like it's too soon. Maybe if it was like a 1 year thing, and then like they like instead of like giving I don't know like candy and flowers and stuff, they gave me like a picture book of like our journey together.
Of everywhere you went on your dates, and they drew all the pictures.
Cool, but I feel like in this type, where it's like you give a gift, and like say you don't know the person as well, and you give them money. I feel like that still has meaning because you're still thinking of them, even though you don't really truly know them. Even though like it may seem weird for you to give them money instead of like something they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really know them like that, so you may have not known that they wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, gifts of money and material things can be great, and they can be really helpful, right? Like when your parents give you some money because you've really been struggling lately, you know it's meaningful, right? You know that they love you, that they're trying to care for you, and they're trying to express that, right, with this gift. Ultimately, what Gibran is saying, though, is, well, what matters in the giving isn't whether it's a material thing, right? It's the intention behind it that matters. It's the heart posture, right? It is, well, how you're giving and why you're giving. Yeah? So, obviously, he says we should give with love, with good intentions, and without what? What is mentioned in these passages here? True, yes. What's the F word in these passages? Fear. Give without fear. A homeless person comes up to you, and you can tell that they're really struggling. You're thinking about giving them the last $10 in your wallet. You're going to use that $10 on some snacks for tonight because you're just feeling a little snacky. Okay? You don't know what they're going to do with the money, but it looks like they're really struggling. Gibran is saying, like, look, if you're giving because you're afraid that, of what they might do with the money, or of not having the money yourself and not being able to buy the thing you want when the time comes, you're not giving properly. The implication here is that, you shouldn't let fear drive your life, right? You should be generous. You should give of your time. You should give, of the things that truly matter, which might be, depending on the person, right, words of affirmation or some kind of service. Maybe it is some kind of physical gift. All those things can be great. But what are your possessions but things you keep in guard for the fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to the overprudent dog, bearing bones in the trackless sand as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need but need itself? Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable? What is he saying here? You fear giving the homeless person your last $10 because you're afraid you might need it. And you might need to spend it tomorrow. What should we think about that?
The homeless person needs that money more than you do right now. Whenever you need it more. Or when you would need it tomorrow, but they need it now.
Sure, yeah. It's obvious they have a need, right? They're standing in front of you. They tell you, look, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Like, I could use some food. You might need the money that you have. You don't know for sure. If you keep it to yourself and you don't give with love and generosity, aren't you living a life that is in some sense controlled by your fear?
Is it wrong to fear that I know he's going to go buy drugs with that $10?
Is it wrong to fear it? I don't know. What do y'all think? Is that something you should fear?
Well, I want to know if my money's going to the cause. And at that point, I would go buy food directly and give them the food, so I would know where the money actually went.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Should I buy him a McDonald's gift card? Or should I just give him the money? Or should I just buy the drugs for him so he doesn't have to go to the other drugstore?
What if you buy the wrong drugs, Then it's all up in the air. No. What do you think? I mean, the person might do anything with the money. But what is your orientation going into that kind of situation? And what is ultimately driving you to make the decision that you do? If it's fear of needing the money when you don't need it right now, really, what kind of life are you living? Oh, this marker's terrible. This is not much better. What use is it, Jabon might ask, to always be anxious about tomorrow and to fear that which might come? We all get anxious about things, right? We all have worries about what might happen. We try to, safeguard against those things and how we live our lives and what we do and where we go. But if you're always fearing what might happen, are you truly living? Are you attending to what is in front of you?
You're not opening up opportunity for growth.
Okay.
If you fear something too much and you're like, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm afraid to do it, then you're not giving yourself the opportunity to learn from that thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, how so?
If you're too fearful to take the next step in life or a relationship, you're never going to be able to get better or reach the goal you want to get.
Sure. Remember back when you were, a freshman in high school or whatever, and you had a crush on the person whose locker was right next to you. Oh, you really want to, talk to them, tell them how you feel, but your fear of looking dumb or of being rejected prevented you from saying anything.
What does that say on the board?
Fear can prevent growth and lead to conflict. Sorry, that's a little, light. He's going to talk about this later when he mentions time. But if you're always living in, let's say, regret of the past or fear of the future, how is that going to impact your life? Are you going to learn and grow? Are you going to be grateful for what's happening in front of you? Are you going to see the beauty of life and be appreciative of these opportunities and things? Maybe not, right? There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give, as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these, God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth. All these markers suck. This is better. Okay. How should we give? Well, we shouldn't give with this desire to control all things, or with this desire for recognition, or with this desire for reward. Rather, we should give simply to give in joy. What does he say? Giving is not always comfortable. It doesn't always make you happy, right? You might hurt a little bit because you had to part with something, right? But he says that pain is their baptism. Through the hands such as these, the people who give with joy and with love, with good intentions, without fear, God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked, through understanding. What do you think about that? Agree or disagree? Why do you agree? Better to give unasked, through understanding. Emma?
It goes back to like the whole money or symbolic situation where it's like you're giving to someone because you know and you understand them, the person, not because they told you to.
Right.
It's like because I spent the time getting to know you and put the thought into it, rather than just giving it because you asked them to.
Would you rather receive a gift from someone who thought really hard about what would make you happy, and you weren't expecting it, and they were just like, I picked this up for you because I saw it, it reminded me of you, and I love you, here you go? Or would you rather get a gift from someone who was like, fuck, it was your birthday, so I had to pick up something? And you asked.
The first one.
Yeah, why?
Makes you feel seen, cared for, and like actually appreciated versus just like last thought, the second thought.
Or as an obligation, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And to the open-handed, the search for one who shall receive is joy greater than giving. And is there aught you would withhold? All you have shall someday be given. Therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. What's going on here? These lines.
All your stuff will be eventually given to someone, whether you want it or not. So you might as well just give it up now, even though you fear that you may need it tomorrow, but you never know that tomorrow you can die and it'll be theirs anyway.
Can you take your PS5 with you to heaven?
It would already be there.
If you're gonna play PS5 in heaven, it's because God set it up there and He's got the console and the TV screens there already, right? Can you bring, your money with you when you die? There are certain cultural norms and rituals, right, where they'll place the coin in the mouth to, provide the fee for the entry to the underworld, right? Paying the ferryman and all that.
But realistically, probably not.
Probably not, right? I mean, if there's anything after death, it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to keep my Magic the Gathering collection, okay? So what does he say? Give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. If we're going to die and we're not going to be able to take any of this stuff with us, what good is it going to do to hold on to it for our whole lives? especially if we're not using it. Yeah? So give now. Give now. We're not going to be able to take any of this crap with us. You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and his nights is worthy of all else from you. What do you think? Don't we all feel this way? Well, yeah, I'd give the homeless man the money if I knew what he was going to do with it. If I knew he was deserving of it. Right? But what does Gibran say about that?
That's not what nature does. They not show you. Like, the world around us gives because they have to, because it's a way of life. But we only give when we only find it deserving.
Right. Yeah, he's saying there's a problem with that, right? Now, do you agree? Or do you disagree? Maybe we should only give to the people we find deserving. What do you think, Elijah?
How do we know that we're deserving of what we already have? How can we decide if someone else is deserving of something? I think what he's trying to say is like, we're all worthy of what we have. It might not even be our own.
Okay.
So we might as well give freely and understand that everything others are not asked or given us freely, even though we haven't been deserving.
Yeah, can you provide any examples of that?
As a child, maybe you were like complaining and you drew on your walls or something, and your mom still provided you with dinner that night, even though you had disobeyed her and you made her clean up the walls, but she still, like, out of love, she still fed you and provided for you.
Right.
I feel like food's an obligation. Like, as a parent, you're obligated to give your child the basic needs.
What do you think?
So you're just gonna starve your child if your child is bad? Like, no. Because you can't afford food.
Regardless of whether or not it's an obligation, it still is giving, right? The mother is giving of her time, she's giving of her breast milk, she's giving of her resources, you know, the food, the money, the shelter, the clothing, right? Is the baby deserving of all that?
Baby. What has the baby done?
What has the baby done? Maybe they haven't done anything to not deserve it. Have they done anything to deserve it? Oh, right. Yeah, when we think about babies, for instance, we don't think the baby ain't deserving of dinner today. Baby puked earlier. Pissed me off. Right? No, we don't think that. We think, no, we feed the baby. We take care of the baby. We give to the baby. Do we see other people that way when they grow up?
No.
No. How do we treat them?
Are they deserving or are they not?
Right. That seems to be the question we ask, right? Yeah. Now you might think that's practical. You know, there are good reasons for that. But what does he say? Nothing else on earth does that. If the trees did not freely give its fruit, we would not have orange juice. If the birds did not freely give their eggs, we wouldn't be able to eat eggs and bacon in the morning. So he's saying like something like this. Look, everything else gives. We're all a part of this cycle of giving and receiving. But we're the odd ones out because we're like, screw that. I know who's deserving of receiving things. And I'm worthy of receiving all these things, so you should give it to me. Yeah?
Why are there standards that we hold ourselves for, like, who's deserving?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Like, if I'm helping out, it's back to, like, the homeless person, if I'm, like, trying to help him out, I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he needs it one way or another, and what if he does? use it to buy food
Or drugs.
if he buys drugs, so be it. If he buys drugs, it makes him feel better at the end of the day. Like he's getting something from it.
Yeah. Some kind of pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Bring it back to the baby example. If the mother and the father don't freely give, that baby's not going to live. Right? If you want to look at it a little bit more symbolically, think about the earth. If the earth did not give of its ores and of its bounty, we would not be able to live. So he's trying to prompt some self-reflection in us. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and his nights is worthy of all else from you. And he who has deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay, the charity of receiving? And who are you that men should rend their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may see their worth naked and their pride unabashed? See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving. For in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. Okay, what do you think he's saying here? Any ideas? Yeah.
Well, I guess he's kind of saying that, we really shouldn't judge people who we are considering giving to. It's not really our right to even. And
Okay.
He thinks that we should just give, not even so much for them as much as for ourselves, as good for us in our lives.
Right. What is our, let's call it, our economy of giving and receiving based on? Think about it philosophically. We imagine ourselves as a person, a distinct person. All y'all are your own people, right? With your own consciousnesses. And we look at people and we're like, okay, you're receiving what I have to give. You're not, you don't deserve it. You deserve it over here because of who you are, what you've done. He blows that picture out of the water here. What does he say? In truth, it is life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. He's saying something mystical here. What do you think is going on? Yeah, Ava.
Because you judge people or the world around you, you aren't a giver but a witness to what the world has given them.
Yeah, we are in that witness mode. That is the role we're inhabiting. What do you think? Remember that pantheism thing we talked about earlier? What does the first line say? For it is life that gives unto life. You are but a witness. What does that mean?
Kind of relating it to God, maybe, that God gave you gifted you with life, and you think that you're a giver, but actually you're just a gift within itself.
I think you're hitting on something important there. We imagine ourselves as these distinct autonomous units moving in this environment. But he's kind of saying, no, that's not what you are at all. You're something like, you're like one fragment of this life or God. He's called it by two different words now. Giving and receiving unto itself. There really is no firm, hard and fast distinction between you and you and me and you and that guy over there and that homeless woman. Again, if we remember his pantheism, he thinks that, look, God is all, God makes up everything, and what that means is that, I'm part of God and you're part of God, or what he calls life. Really, this whole thing we're seeing, this whole game, is just life giving and receiving unto itself. And you play a role in that, you play a part in that, but you're not the arbiter of who's deserving. You're not some autonomous agent separate from everyone else, giving or receiving. You're a part of this, cosmic process. One part. How does your outlook change if you look at things like that? What does it make you think? What kind of emotions come up in you? Do you like this view? Or again, is it like weird woo-woo spiritual garbage? What do you think? Yeah. Yeah, you're interconnected with everything, right? And we're all interconnected in this way.
I feel like it makes you feel like the earth is already fruitful in itself, and it's giving you so much that even if you give a lot, you're never going to be deserving of how much it's already given you.
Yeah. It might convict you to reflect on whether or not you yourself are deserving of what you've been given. Constantly we are being given things. I'm giving of you my time. I'm giving of you my perspective. I'm giving of you, some sort of experience, some sort of information. The people all around us are giving of their energy and their effort to keep this whole thing running, right? It's like we're all playing this game of giving and receiving constantly, whether we recognize it or not. Could I get someone to read about the receivers? What should receivers think and act like?
And you receivers, and you are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather rise together with the giver on his gifts as on wings. For to be over-mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who has the free-hearted earth for mother, and God for father.
What the hell is he saying here? What do you think? Yeah?
Receivers don't understand the concept of gratitude often.
Okay. They don't understand the concept of gratitude often, or maybe they're not being, or they don't show it. Okay. What do the rest of y'all think? Don't we teach people you should be grateful for what you've been given? Does he seem to be supporting that, or no? Yeah, you should be grateful. Maybe your mom said that to you. Be grateful! Right? Did you have something?
I forgot, so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. What do you think is going on here? I mean, what is he saying receivers should think and act like?
I think it's talking about maybe a different form of gratitude.
Mm.
Instead of thinking about the debt or what you can get back from them and what you owe them, you should use the gift they gave you to be better, pay it forward. Maybe, and that's the gratitude you pay them back with.
Okay. Have y'all felt an obligation to give someone something because they gave you something?
Yes.
Does that feel good?
No, it freaks me out.
Yeah, do you like being in debt to people? Do you like feeling indebted to people? Why not? What feelings does it summon up for you? Happiness, joy, love? Anxiety, right? Oh, crap, that's right. Jim bought me a birthday gift. We don't even know each other that well. I gotta get him a gift, man. I don't even know what Jim wants. Yeah? You ever felt this way? If you conceptualize what you're being given as, I don't know, something like an obligation, something that you're being put in debt for, that's not the proper way to look at things, he says. Because how does it make us feel? Well, it lays a yoke upon us and upon the person who gives. Rather, rise together with the giver on his gifts as on wings. For to be over-mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who has the free-hearted earth for mother and God for father. Our culture does a very good job of conditioning us into thinking of that which we are given as something that we need morally to pay back. Because you've all had this experience, right? But how should you live instead? You shouldn't think about what is given to you as something that you should repay. Rather, just receive it with joy. Share in the happiness of the person who's giving something to you. And if we actually gave, Gibran thinks, the way that he's saying we should give, it's not as if it won't come back to them. Because we're all just going to be constantly giving and receiving, right? In love and in joy. Okay, let's just do one more. Eating and drinking. What is he going to say about eating and drinking? Could I get someone to read this? Xavier. Do it. Okay, what's going on here? Is he just spouting some more crazy woo-woo? What do you think? How should we eat and drink? Yeah?
I guess with gratitude.
With gratitude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's saying you're stealing the mother's milk from the newly born just to quench your thirst. So where it says like, let it be an act of worship, you should be showing that you're grateful for what you're receiving, not like how the giving is like not thinking you are deserving of it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, what do you think he means by this as an act of worship? With a purpose to it?
Yeah.
Say more about that.
Instead of like, I guess kind of the concept of gluttony, like instead of just eating because you want to, eat with like a purpose of fulfilling your body's needs.
Okay, with a clear, deliberate intention maybe, right? We all eat absent-mindedly sometimes, don't we? Yeah, I like to sit down in front of the TV, and just shove Cheetos into my face, right? Oh, this is great. I get to watch Desperate Housewives of New York again. Is that the right way to eat? No, what do you think it means to eat as an act of worship?
I think it can also mean to like not be wasteful,
Okay, say more.
to like respect what you have to eat because it says down the line that it's sacrificed for you, so you shouldn't let that go to waste.
Hmm.
Like if you kill like a cow and you only cut out one part of it and get rid of the rest, it's wasteful. So you could, share it with other people too.
Okay. Yeah, so how can we reword that? Not wastefully, but we want to eat with intention. We want to eat with presence. And we want to eat and drink respectfully, maybe? Respectfully? It sure doesn't seem respectful when, I'm eating my 7th Reese's bar, shoving it into my face as I'm watching, The Bachelor. Absent-mindedly. Maybe. Maybe you would disagree. He says, let your board stand on an altar on which the pure and the innocent of forest and plain are sacrificed for that which is purer and still more innocent in man. And thus, when you kill a beast, say to him in your heart, by the same power that slays you, I too am slain, and I too shall be consumed. For the law that delivered you into my hand shall deliver me into a mightier hand. Your blood and my blood is not but the sap that feeds the tree of heaven. And when you crush an apple with your teeth, say to it in your heart, your seeds shall live in my body, and the buds of your tomorrow shall blossom in my heart, and your fragrance shall be my breath, and together we shall rejoice through all the seasons. And in the autumn, when you gather the grapes of your vineyards for the winepress, say in your heart, I too am a vineyard, and my fruit shall be gathered for the winepress. And like new wine, I shall be kept in eternal vessels. And in winter, when you draw the wine, let there be in your heart a song for each cup. And let there be in the song a remembrance for the autumn days, and for the vineyard, and for the winepress. What's he saying? How should we eat and drink? Sure. You want this part or the next one? He says a lot of things. Yeah, Elijah.
I think trying to have us understand the circle of life, although we might right now eat a plant, that we might become fertilizer for the plant in the future.
Okay, so eating with that understanding in mind, that we're a part of something like this natural cycle, that we will return to the dust, that we will become the nutrients for future plants and animals. Yeah? Is that a good view, bad view? What do you think?
I feel like it's it just sounds like community.
It just sounds like community?
Communion.
Communion. Say more.
I don't know, the way he's describing, and then also referencing wine. I don't know, it just seems Catholic, religious.
Yeah, it does have a religious flavor to it, right? What does he say? As an act of worship. What are we worshiping?
The groups that are best
Hmm.
in the time we spend.
The,
How that wine connects us, where he says, like new wine, I showed that. That's almost the same, I guess. It's like because of his faith or something, it had renewed him into something like a new wine. Like it
Yeah.
changed him as a person.
Yeah. What do we do when we eat and drink? This is what you might think is a silly view. But what are we doing? I'm going to eat a steak. What am I doing? Let's say I killed the cow, I cleaned the cow, I cooked up the steak. I'm taking the life and the power of the cow and I'm making it my own. So it fuels me, right? So, well, I wouldn't say that, but this eating and drinking requires taking, right? It requires taking. Sometimes it requires violence. Violence is necessary for you to eat all the food that you want to eat, right? Killing chickens and cows and pigs, right? Enclosing them. You might think it involves some level of exploitation as well. This is the way our society works, though. We have these massive farms where animals are kept, right? And their resources are taken and they're used to feed us. Eating and drinking doesn't have to be this thing that we take for granted. On the contrary, it should be something that we recognize and do intentionally and deliberately, with a certain thanks, with a certain respect. And you're right, there's definitely religious symbolism here. Because if we take kind of, again, Gibran's metaphysical view, this pantheistic view, all of this is a part of God, and we're just a small part of this thing called God or nature or life that is, moving through things and giving to itself and taking from itself. We could eat and drink while singing in our hearts, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? And how often do we actually do that? When you sit down at the USF cafeteria, are you like, oh, I get the mashed potatoes and gravy, thank you, oh, potatoes? Yes or no? No! What do? Yeah, fuck potatoes, all right. You go through the line, right? Plop it on your plate. Grab what you want, sit down. Thoughtlessly, right? Taking the resources for granted. I don't know. Do you eat? Do you really sit with your food? Do you think about where it came from? Do you thank the animals and the people that gave it to you while you're eating it?
I mean, I don't really eat, so...
Maybe you don't feel like you have to then, But you could thank, the wheat stalks, and you could thank the corn, and... Oh, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you think that's silly, but...
I mean, sometimes people thank God.
Right, yeah. That would be kind of one manifestation of this eating as an act of worship, yeah. Saying a prayer before your meal, thanking God for the food or something like that. Yeah. All right. I guess it's time to go. I kept you a little long. Thank you. For Wednesday, do the same thing you did today. Bring 3 things you want to talk about, okay?